Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm excited about networking with everybody out there. We're live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We're going to share the show later on. My first guest is Scott Fischer. He is the owner of Options for Senior Living. Welcome to the show. You have been now on with me several times, and there's such a need. So thank you for what you do. I want you to talk a little bit about yourself, and then I want to talk about you too. Go ahead.
Awesome, thank you. I so look forward to doing this.
Oh,
I
you're
really
such a
do. Thank you
sweetheart.
for having
Thank
me.
you,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
bet. Since 2003, I launched a business. I was a nurse, graduated from Arizona State University's nursing program when very few guys were doing it back in the 80s. Career led me to work directly with seniors. Many of them, those folks were starting to suffer from various aspects of the symptoms of dementia. Was kind of my specialty clinical area. That led me to help families develop a business, or I developed a business to help families navigate long-term care, find long-term care solutions for them when living at home was no longer safe or viable. It was impacting the family, maybe a well spouse. And so, we just started year 23.
That's awesome.
To walk down this road with thousands of families, engaging them all over. That we cover the entire valley, and it's been a wild ride.
I'm going
years.
to talk about you.
Yeah.
So here's what I know. I've learned a lot about you, and I know that you're the seniors advocate out there to help people who need to know have resources. We've talked a little bit about that today. Also about where to go, what to do, when is the right time, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that today. And this is the kind of thing, I know that we're not like giving away a weed whacker here and you got to call in and all that kind of thing, but this is the number that you put down and you put it in your phone because you want to have somebody that can help you navigate through this process, because it's not an easy process. And you've been doing this for, you said 23 years?
We're in year 23.
23, and he can help you with this. Now, the number to put down in your phone is 602-845-1320. They're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and nominated in 2022 for the Ethics Award. And let me tell you something, just to get nominated is tough in itself. So, but congratulations on what you do, and thank you too for all that you do as well.
Thank you.
I want you to talk a little bit about today. We wanted to, obviously talk about you first, but you had a call this morning and you kind of want to talk a little bit about that.
It really triggered me as I was literally driving down here today. I had various ideas in my head of things we could cover, but when I started the business, it was very specifically to help families find that long-term care solution. Like I said, it was to find that place. However, and although we've helped families do that, thousands, there's been thousands and twice those thousands of people we've helped with much more of a process. That they weren't ready to move yet, but they knew things were starting to change or fail, or there was shifting going on within the family system. And so we've worked with families kind of broadly for years, offering resources, solutions, and getting to intervene with them. Our message for years has been, call me before the crisis. Don't wait until there's a mess. And so, guy calls me today, and he's kind of moving into a crisis situation now, but he's a Phoenix firefighter, and Phoenix firefighters are heroes and supermen, and they power through everything, and they love to come to the rescue. When his mom was having all kinds of issues, she lived out of state or out of town. She'd been diagnosed with dementia. He brought her to his own home here in the valley, and 9 months ago, it was starting to cause some stress around his own family with his kids and his wife, and having a demented mom live with him. But he had some ideas on how to manage this, and there was a process that was going to have to happen to get her medically managed well, because she was letting some of that go, financially organized, so that when there was time to do senior living, he had a plan. So he's been working on that plan for 9 months, and my team and I have been advocating and advising him, and he's been seeing an attorney that we know. We've been getting help with financial planning because his mom's eligible for some veterans benefits that were related to his stepfather's service in the military. So he's been following the plan, and now he calls and he's like, it's mom's sick, and likely has a urinary tract infection, which is, for people you don't know, that metabolic disruption can take someone with dementia, and it just creates massive chaos for them.
Really?
And so now they're living in the chaos the last 48 hours, and now we need some immediate guidance. But we've already got our hands on, we're already together, right? So
Right.
he knew to call
Isn't
me and
that
my
great?
team right away. Yeah.
Now, this is the point, number one, is that people don't realize that when it gets bad, it can go bad fast. And I think that's the main thing. And you're doing it. Let's say I know we talked about this before you came on, a lot of children feel like they are responsible to do that. That's their duty, right? Also the parents, and I'm sorry, I know that some of the parents do this too, they throw the guilt card at them. I've taken care of you all my life, and now you gotta take care of me. So, and they probably want to in some respects, and maybe in the beginning, it's easy, right? It's not as hard.
Yep.
But there isn't anybody that I know that has been taking care of their parents that don't say how hard it is.
It is, it can be some days suffocating. I love my mom more than anybody, but it's a lot. And my wife's parents are also in their 80s, and my father-in-law is having more challenges. He had a stroke 8 or 9 years ago, so there's a natural, evolution to that, and to see the frailty settle into our parents. So we're struggling with the reality of here we're ending, the fourth quarter of life is coming to an end here. But then there's challenges. So add financial issues, healthcare issues. This afternoon, I need help for one of my daughters to take my mom to go get a follow-up appointment.
Right,
To see the
so it's a
orthopedic,
family affair.
because she broke her arm, and so I need my family to help me with my mom. The average person who has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, this is the national thing, has 4 unpaid caregivers. So family, it takes 4 in a family, or the friends, the neighbors, coming around one person. And so our employers are feeling it, our marriages are feeling it, and it's not because, like you said, I'm an adult son, I'm the oldest of 4 brothers. I brought mom here intentionally 10 years ago so that she could spend the rest of her life here with me, close to me. My brothers were happy to kind of let that happen, right? And help you support me, and they've been great. But it's my wife and I are in first chair, and it becomes a lot. And I'm sensitive to those adult kids that feel that responsibility, but then struggle with where do they draw their lines and how far do you go. And,
we're going to talk a little bit about that after the break, but I do want to also mention that what you had mentioned earlier, okay, we have said this time and time again, every time you come on, don't wait till it's the crucial time. The best time is to call when you start seeing something. And then, like you said, you can be there for resources. You can help them through and navigate through the days that come ahead of you, and you're happy to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the thing: your service is a free service to people out there, and yet they still do the same thing and wait till the last minute. But please
don't call me early and stay connected. When I was trying to define our business years ago, and I started to organize, what do you do after all this time? You're much more than a placement guy. And I wrote this down, and this is part of our mission statement, is that we are educators, advocates, and experts in the resources of our community. What does it say about being a placement guy? But that's part of it, but that's the role that I play for families all day, every day, week after week.
put this number in your phone. That number is 602-845-1320. Check them out on the website. It's optionsforseniorliving.com. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. This is a free service to you. Folks, it really just makes sense. He's valley-wide. Again, put the number in your phone and be prepared. 602-845-1320. Okay, that one fast. Well, we're going to keep on going because we are live on Facebook right now.
Yeah.
And we're right kind of where we had said that we wanted to do that. So, and the people with the families, oh God, it's got to be really hard too when you talk about the boundaries, especially with your parents. You don't know what's right and what's wrong, right? And they're going to go, I'm sure
I mean, there are books, but they're like, who gives you the handbook at 6 years old?
Right.
Hey, when your parents need this, here's the handbook.
Right. It's just like when you're born, there's no handbook then, and it's just difficult.
Right.
So let me ask you of some of the things that you get asked,
Mhm.
right? When people start calling, what's number one question? And well, we always have that one question that we get.
Yeah. I think the number one question is, how do I know when it's time for assistance? Like, where, and it's part of my answer, it sounds kind of flippant, but I'm like, well, let's just go through what you're currently doing for your mother.
Mhm.
Let's see, you go do her shopping, you have a housekeeper come over, there's a yard service here. You set up her beds once a week, you take her to all her appointments, and you do 1 day out a week for activities. Your mom's already in assisted living.
It's just you doing it.
You're doing it, you're providing it. And so I say that, and you see this light go, doink.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what assisted living does for mom. So she's already there. Are you guys there yet? But you've hit the markers. You're doing the stuff that they would typically do. As a matter of fact, there's people that move in long before what you're already doing for them. They move in far more independently than what we just talked about. So
I'm assuming that
Yeah.
there's also a lot of different places out there that are different levels.
Yep.
Especially when people, I'm sure it's hard for people who can't afford,
Mhm.
or what do they do? I'm sure you can help them with that too, right?
Yep.
I'm sure there's so much education that
There's
you do.
there's a lot of education towards public benefits. There are some, through state Medicaid program, we call it Arizona Long-Term Care. The VA has some benefits for veterans that served during wartime, and so we help them point those to the
Education.
where they can get those.
Educational service.
And then how do they manage, if they're selling a house and moving in someplace and now they've got $500,000, what the hell do you do with $500,000? Like, how do you manage
Put
that?
it in the bank.
Right, well, you put it in the bank, but then you need help with a financial advisor that's
Right.
trusted and knows how
And you
to.
help with that too.
We'll get them to the right person that's trusted,
That's
that
good.
has experience in those kinds of scenarios.
Right.
Yeah.
So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Scott Fischer, and he's the owner of Options for Senior Living. He is truly, when I say seniors advocate, you are families advocate, really, more than, I say it wrong. That's what you are, families advocate, because the families need your education, and that's what we were talking a little bit at the break, that really what you do is educate. There's a lot of people that when they don't know what to do, let's say you said the house sells, now what we do with that money, you help with that and help people. There's resources of people that you can trust, that you know, that you work with hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, also at the break, we were talking a little bit, okay, I want to talk about this, okay, this is important. Because a lot of people, when your parents are deteriorating, if I say it that way, I don't know if that's the right way, but there's a lot of stress, you mentioned that. And the families start to get a little bit stressed out, and they argue and they fight, and the parents also don't treat you necessarily the way they would normally, right?
Yeah.
What do people do at that time? I mean, what's the best thing?
Wow. First of all, I think you've got to get some objectivity. Somebody from the outside can help validate how you feel. If you're the adult kid living in that situation and you feel resentment growing towards your parent, or your wife is feeling resentment that so much of your time is being spent on her, or her time is being spent on mom or dad, then an outside person will help you sort that out and validate your feelings, because those are legit. And if you repress those, you swallow it, you know what happens? People get explosive, people get agitated. I mean, nothing good comes from not communicating well.
I had said it to you,
Yeah.
which I said was, I think that it would be nice for the families to be able to really truly love their parents, because it gets hard. And not to say that you don't love them, but when there's fireworks going off and you get angry.
It's easy to get angry. As we age, and this isn't directed at any one aging person, but as we age, have you noticed that we lose our filters? Do you notice that we say stuff, whatever, and there's less thought or less protective thought that goes into, we just, things come out, and it may be on point, but it may be perceived as rough. It may be perceived as ungrateful. It may be perceived as demanding or aggressive by, from the kid, from the parent. And so you have to really step back as the adult kid and go, whoa, and
Be
it kind
more
of
accepting of it a little bit.
and there's that, and thank God in my own situation, as I said, I love my mom dearly. We've had an incredible life together, but we've had some rough, in the last few years. And I've got awesome brothers that we pick up the phone and talk to each other. There's times in our family that it's worked well for my one brother to say this part of the message, and I've said this part of the message, and another brother said this part. And
Not everybody has it.
not everybody does, but I'm grateful that I got 3 brothers that have helped that, and I see that in some families. I was at a family's house on Friday, and there are 6 kids. The 2 oldest were there on behalf of their brothers and sisters. They happen to be retired. Mom and dad are still living home, and all 6 kids are in on together here. And it's really lovely to see that kind of commitment to mom and dad.
Wouldn't it be nice if everybody was like that?
But it's not.
Right.
And the reality of it is, there's wounding in families. There's blended families where you have 2 sets of kids with mom and dad, and
Sure.
there's
Don't even think about that.
There's systems to navigate on how decisions get made. And we get in the middle of all that. Again, the earlier we know that there could be some need on the horizon, let us help you sort it out.
I think the other thing that we wanted to talk about was how, if the kids know how far they can go, their boundaries. We want to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. I've seen marriages really on the rocks. We've been called by church pastors saying husbands and wives of married 35 years have lost their way together because of one of their, and so can you guys help that? And so by relieving and developing a game plan for the mom, the marriage could heal, because so much imbalance, and there was such I think between mom's guilting and the daughter's sense of a lifetime of serve mom, and most of us were growing up, in the 50s, 60s, 70s with the idea that, honor thy mother and father kind of a thing, and maybe mom and dad weren't all that nice along the way, or there was divorces and alcoholism and stuff like that.
Wow.
So how the heck do you navigate your feelings while still honoring? And we've seen all kinds of things, and we educators, yes, counselors, absolutely. Sounding boards,
You're everything.
That's sort of the role.
Right. But that's wonderful that people know that's what you are, that you're a resource for almost anything when it comes to your parents, and when you need to have them, and when you see that this is going on, the best thing that you can do is call and have this consultation with him. It is a free service to you, and that's what makes sense. And a lot of people do say this, oh, that's too good to be true.
Right. And we get paid. So just to be really clear, on the way we get compensated is at the end of that process with a family, there is typically a move into some senior living solution, and we're paid. We have contracts with hundreds and hundreds of senior living operators, and they pay us a prearranged commission. That's how it works. That funds the operation. So
but
we
I want
can
to
talk
say something.
Yeah.
You had mentioned earlier about you've been working with this one client 9 months, and it shows, this is what I want to show, is that you're not in there just to get them into the home. As a matter of fact, I think it's quite the opposite with you. You want them to be able to stay home as long as they can. But then there is a time when it's the right time.
And the statistics will tell you that the vast majority of people want to stay home as long as they can. So we're committed to that. But we're there when that's not possible any longer, and we're going to get you the resources you need to make it safely at home. There's a big movement towards technology and monitoring systems and AI, and there's all this is very different.
Even with the seniors.
Exactly. And so there's more and more solutions available to help support people safely at home until they can.
The other thing that you mentioned, and I think it was great that you said this, there's no book, there's no guide that's going to get you through this, unless you have somebody that is your senior's advocate, your family's advocate, such as yourself. You've been doing this for 23 years. You know this system. You know what they need. You've seen it before you walk in the door. You already know.
Yeah. We start solving problems typically. I'm kind of a problem solver, solution-oriented person. So when I walk in the house, I'm immediately taking inventory of okay, where are we at? What's going on? What's the safety situation in here? What do they need? what medical devices are already in place, what medical equipment is already here. I have some friends and colleagues that have actually written various books around these topics, but there just isn't a game, like you don't get your playbook when you work for the Cardinals and they go, here's the playbook for the,
Right.
to work
Well,
here.
it's different for everybody.
It's because it's so unique.
Exactly.
Every family system and every individual has such a unique solution to their journey.
We've been talking about kids, but there's also husbands and wives that are taking care, and that's also very difficult.
As soon as you say that, I think about a guy I met years ago, and he was devastated that his wife of 67 years had advanced dementia. And when I was invited to the house, I think the daughter invited me in or somehow, however I got over there, she had lost herself, and he had said to her something like, "Hi, sweetheart, how you doing?" And she didn't recognize him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "It's me, it's Walter, it's Walter." And she was slapping at him and swiping at him because in her mind, Walter was this 25-year-old dashing young man, wasn't this 87-year-old crinkled dude, right? And so she's losing it and becoming combative with him, and he has to hold her, and you just go,
Oh, it's sad. So sad.
Yeah.
It's not like, in the book, The Notebook,
Yeah,
that
right.
movie's a great movie,
Yeah.
but it's not like that all the
Yeah,
time.
not all the time.
Most of the time not,
Right, exactly.
And dementia is probably the hardest, right? Would you say that's the hardest what people deal with?
Yeah.
Or falling, or what would it be?
Well, in Arizona, falls and dementia, Alzheimer's type particularly, are 1A and 1B
Really?
as the top critical needs towards our aging population. And of course, in Arizona, we are top heavy. We are aging. 10,000 people a day in this country are turning 65. More people are turning 85 than 18. I mean, all the numbers are there. So we are seeing a massive impact on our community with the falling issue. And of course, falls are sometimes related to dementia because you're losing your spatial awarenesses, your depth perceptions are changing with your visual acuity, so that's sometimes part of it. But falls are crushing our first responders, our healthcare system, and dementia prevalence is going through the roof.
Well, I'll tell you something, folks, when you listen to this, maybe it's you, maybe you know somebody. It's a free service, so I really truly believe everybody should be at least getting that consultation with you, sit down and talk, find out where we're at, see if he can help you with resources. That's the biggest thing right there. And even if it takes 9 months, it's fine, or whatever it is, it's okay. Taking baby steps to get you where, and knowing what you're doing, I think that's the best thing, giving people peace of mind. It's options for seniorliving.com. That number, please put it in your phone. It's 602-845-1320.